I am genuinely done with this thing.
So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been...
You know, if you expect to be with somebody for a lifetime,
25 years and counting.
we will work through whatever.
It makes no sense, any of it.
separately.
We live separately.
That's some bullshit. Ain't that some bullshit?
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
Let's break down this bitch, shall we? Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. My name's Olivia and this is where we sit by the pond and we have a little chat. And today, right, I am done, absolutely done with this woman. Jada Pinkett Smith has been manipulating not just her entire family, but the entire world for the last, gosh, how long has it been? I thought we would look at this interview. There is a lot to unpack, again, but, you know, everything that she has done to Will is insane. And of course, Will ended up snapping last year and smacking the hell out of Chris Rock.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Even though there is no excuse for someone to actually hurt someone like that, I understand why he did it. And it's most likely because his wife is the biggest manipulator around. So let's have a little look at all the lies that she's talking about.
Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after Chris made a crack about Jada's hair.
I could tell it bothered you. You did an eye roll. Like,
Right. Yeah, and I did that eye roll not so much for me, and I think this is really important, but the fact that there could be a jab at alopecia.
Okay, so she says that she eye rolled because of the jab that Chris Rock gave her about alopecia. The eye roll, I mean, if you are offended by something or anything like that, you generally don't roll your eyes. You're more shocked. You're more like that. You don't roll your eyes. Unless, like, you're fed up with it. But Jada had only started shaving her head, and I'm going to be very careful about how I deliver this because I don't want to upset or disrespect anyone with alopecia. But this doesn't make an awful lot of sense. She hadn't really talked about her alopecia all that long. I think her alopecia story came out, less than a year before that? I think it was actually only 6 months before that. So it would make sense if it had been a very long time. But here's the other thing that I'm not quite getting on board with this whole alopecia thing. Her alopecia is a line right across her head. I have met 2 people with alopecia. It's not as common as you would think. If you look at everyone who has ever suffered from alopecia, alopecia comes out in spots. It comes out in clumps. Like there's bald areas. It doesn't come out in a line. But you know what does come out in a line? Surgical scars. Surgical scars will have that kind of a line. More specifically, if you were to have some sort of plastic surgery lift. That's something that I've never fully understood about this whole alopecia thing. A lot of people, it tends to start from the back, maybe from the top. But here, not as much. I'm not saying that it's not impossible, but there's a lot of professionals that have said that we don't believe she has alopecia. So if anything, the only person who is disgracing alopecia is this thing. And the first thing I thought of before she even said anything about her relationship between her and Will was, how on earth has this girl got a full head of hair? Where's that line of alopecia? I get that wigs are a fantastic thing these days, but you can tell whenever someone is wearing a wig. That's her hair. I'm calling this one out. I don't believe she has alopecia. I believe that she decided to try and make a mockery of people with alopecia by showing a surgical line and saying that that's what it was, so that she didn't have to say that she got vanity surgery, because she said she never wanted to go down that route. That's fine, fair enough, but just own up to it. But that definitely looks more like a surgical line than alopecia.
Will then went on a profane tirade warning Chris not to mention his wife's name. Jada couldn't believe what she was hearing.
The other thing that doesn't ever sit well with me about that whole scenario at the Oscars, before Jada rolled her eyes, Will was laughing.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
He was laughing at the joke. And then, of course, he looks over, sees Jada rolling her eyes and says, I'm going to go and defend my woman. Oh. Which then she criticizes him for.
What is going on? Now, first of all, I'm really shocked because, mind you, I'm not there. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time.
If it was 7 years of them not being together, not calling each other husband and wife, why would he act out that way? We know she's lying about alopecia. There are surgeons that have said that she doesn't look like she has alopecia. Why would we believe anything she's saying now?
Because I'd find you.
This is all a massive storm of manipulation. And the fact that she is now trying to say, whoa, calm down. We are not a couple. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a really long time. If that's the case, why would he put his whole reputation on the line and show himself to be a bad person by going up and defending your honor?
I'm like, what is going on right now?
Keep my wife's name
out of your mouth, right? And I'm like, but now I'm really worried for Will because I don't know what's going on.
Worried about what? If you can actually turn around and start poking holes in people's stories, you have to really question the validity of it.
Chris Rock leaning over the stage to talk to Jada.
And Chris looks to me and he says, Jada, I meant no harm. Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about
And
Will.
what's Will doing? He's just sitting there?
And Will's still talking. He's like, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old shit. That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
How unusual for Will, a guy who, I mean, on that kind of stage to do something so insane.
Absolutely.
It's totally out of character.
It's not him whatsoever.
The reason being is because Will has had to most likely suffer at the hands of this woman for such a long time. This is a woman that can't even come out and say that she had an affair. She calls it an entanglement. The reason why she uses the word entanglement is because it disassociates from the actual thing of what it was. She's not a bigger person, and I'm not claiming to be a bigger person either. I have openly admitted, even here on this channel, that I cheated on my ex-husband. I had a full-on affair. So when I say that you cannot take the validity of someone because they can't even use the actual words of what they have done, like, yeah, she is a villain. She even got her kids to be more self-aware of a dead man that she never got to have a proper relationship with, as opposed to their own father. She has been putting Tupac on a pedestal for years, and Will has been trying to compete with a dead man, and now even his children are comparing him to a dead man. Because she has had Willow write letters to him, acknowledging that he was a great guy. I'm like, why would you do such a thing? Why would you completely disregard the very father of your children to do this? Will Smith used to be one of the most highly respected and highly regarded actors in Hollywood. And the reason why she did not want to leave him is because she still cannot be anywhere near his level of success. The reason why she is most likely not wanting to divorce Will is because she will only then be known as Will's ex-wife. She doesn't want to drop his last name, but she also didn't want to get rid of her last name either.
And to Jada's surprise, she was also blamed.
You became the bad guy.
My honest opinion about that is that narrative had more to do with the false narrative that I helped to create on the red table.
So poor Will because of the
adulterous wife.
Yeah.
Who forced him to go to the table and sit there, you know what I mean? And now look at what she's done. She has the power with an eye roll to make him go up and slap somebody on stage.
But why would you have your husband on your show to talk about your infidelity? Why would anyone do that? I would never in a million years, even if there was a conversation between myself and my ex-husband, no way would I ever do that. I mean, a lot of things would come out, but I'm not going to do that. That would be so demoralizing to both of us. It's not even just the fact that you had a full-on affair with another person. This other person just so happened to be your son's best friend, which makes this even worse. Because not only did you absolutely destroy your husband, you also destroyed your son. What kind of a person would ever want to have a relationship with their son's best friend in the first place? I think that's just wrong on every level. This is why age gaps are not a good thing, guys.
Let me hear you say, that ain't right.
The very fact that she has decided to now release a book, which ironically is called Worthy, because I don't think she's worthy of anything. The worst part of all of this, what has she done to her kids throughout everything? Their kids have had an awful lot of problems in their life. Like, Willow has been known to start a marijuana addiction from a very young age, and her parents never stepped in. There have been so many controversies around this family, like with inappropriate posting of pictures, getting involved with the wrong types of people. There's been a lot of things that have materialized from this family, and yet this thing is wanting to try and make out that the reason why all of those things were absolutely fine is because her and her ex-husband weren't even together for the last 7 years. But it was okay to fake it.
Was that in 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
right,
but it was a divorce. Which is 7 years ago now.
Yes.
Y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been together?
23 years.
Wow. That's amazing. How do you keep it hot?
How do I keep it hot? Maybe I don't know. I mean, I'm baffled, really.
Yeah, right.
This is the funny thing. She can't even actually say that her relationship is great, it's good, you have a healthy and romantic sex life. You can't say any of that because it doesn't exist.
I feel like you're a straight talker.
I am.
Except you're not sometimes.
Yeah.
So why do that? Like, what was the reason?
I think just not being ready yet.
Can you be a straight talker and still hold back? Saying that you weren't ready for divorce, but you were willing to have affairs, the reason why you didn't want to have a divorce, but you were willing to have affairs with other people, is because you are not as big a name as Will. That's why. If you gave Will up, you would be giving up everything else that came with being with Will. Yeah, she's an actress in her own right, but what has she ever done that has been noteworthy? Will has done a lot of big movies, but she hasn't. And she hasn't been given the opportunity to, maybe because everybody knows that she's probably a nightmare to work with.
Still trying to figure out between the two of us how to be in partnership, right? And in regards to how do we present that to people?
Her and Will have the exact same language. They talk exactly the same.
Still trying to figure out between the two of us how to be in partnership.
I guess what I would say, you just never know what somebody's going through.
Right? And in regards to how do we present that to people?
And you're asking, what did I learn?
But
and you just don't know,
I don't know.
You know
what I mean? But I will definitely say it's just part of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how they do talk very similarly. If they have been separated, they would have found their own voice after 7 years. They would be talking very separately, but they talk exactly the same. So she's lying. They're not separated. They are still around each other enough to be able to talk the same way that they do. I think it's quite interesting that Jada is talking about this now after everything is coming out about what they've been buying in a little island off the coast of America, beginning with H, close to the town beginning with M. I just find that it's very interesting timing that she just so happens to be saying this now whenever there's so many things about her and Will buying property at that particular place that no one's allowed to talk about.
That's weird.
I will say I feel very, very sorry for Will in this situation. I think that he has been a victim of Jada for quite some time, especially with the fact that he has had to compete with someone who's dead, the fact that he has had to endure all of her infidelity. And these are just the ones that we know about. Most likely she has done this for a very long time. She's not a good mom. She's not a good partner. She's a businesswoman. And that's the other thing as well. I don't know if I can really share my opinions on this, but I don't believe everyone is guilty by association completely. I think that there are a few people that, you know, sometimes you just have to do deals with the devil just so that you can get your message across. You know, obviously I talk about one of the people that I really do admire, who is Dr. Ramani Devosala, and she has a lot of people on her podcast sharing their stories. The sad thing is that she is contracted under Jada Pinkett Smith. That's the problem that I'm seeing with that. However, I do believe that she is using her platform in a good way. There are certain other people that are in the same sort of industry who are signed under other demonic people within Hollywood. And I find that the people that they choose to have on their podcast are not really the type of people that you want to be listening to or believing, including having Jada Pinkett Smith on your show. I really, truly don't believe that anything she says is true. I think that this woman is just a liar to her core. When you have your own kids that want to be emasculated from your family at the age of 15, Jaden did that when he was 15. And her response to it was not a good mother's response. The fact that you have a child that wants to pretty much leave the family at the age of 15, you really have to ask yourself what is going on with that kid that they are wanting to do that if they are in a healthy household. If they're not in a healthy household, you have to really ask the question, well, what the hell is going on? Is it even legal for someone to rent a house, let alone buy a house at that age? It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. And in all honesty, I really hope that whatever is going on behind the scenes comes to light, because I really genuinely don't think that this book and the release, the time of this release, the time that she's actually saying that her and Will are not together anymore, just so happens to come out at the very time that there's property questions in play about the two of them. Sorry to go down this rabbit hole. I could not sit by and watch as this thing tried to pretend that she had a condition that she doesn't have, and then is now using her platform to now speak even more ill about her husband. Because whether you like it or not, he is still your husband because you are not divorced. All right, guys. Sorry for this being so brutal and so blunt, but yeah, I am not a fan of this thing, and I truly, truly hope that she gets serious, serious karma for everything that she's done. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by and listening to this podcast. If you have enjoyed it, please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment, say whatever you want. It's not going to affect me. I'm already traumatized. All right, guys, have an amazing week, and I will see you next time for another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. Mwah.